Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape,
vinyl tape, carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneur Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. Man, if you are a person who enjoys art, then I think that this interview is going to be for you. Brother Craig, welcome to the platform. How are you, sir?
Fine. How are you, Kevin?
I am doing well. So listen, we're gonna jump right into it because I was so excited that you agreed to be on the platform and have a conversation with me. Not necessarily an interview, but a conversation. How did you get involved in art? How did that all begin?
Long story is that I got involved initially through Art All Night, the festival that Artworks puts on. I volunteered there.
Yes.
And through that, I found out that there was this vibrant art scene in Trenton.
Yes.
And that I could put art in. And as I continued to volunteer, I got piqued about art again because I went to school for art for half a second at Mercer County.
Got you. Okay.
As a photographer. And over the years, I just kind of started putting stuff in some of the shows, the free events that Artworks did, 10 by 10 show, Art All Night, Art All Day. And then in 2011, that was 2006. In 2011, I had my second kidney transplant.
Yes.
And decided during the recovery that I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think I want to be an artist. I don't want to go back to work. And she said, all right, you got 3 years to make money, and I said, all right. And so that's kind of how I started. I just kind of, that the transplant giving me time to kind of really hone my art because I had a 3 or 4 months recovery after the transplant. And that's kind of how I entered into it.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Wow. So you started off as a simple volunteer. Then you go through this, I guess, life-changing, life-altering an event, and you had a chance to really think about and think through what you wanted to do for your second act, so to speak.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So now, you had mentioned early on that Trenton had a vibrant art community. Is it still vibrant? Is it still growing?
I think it's even more vibrant.
Okay.
There's been a couple articles about the 14 artists to watch in 2022, and that was all Trenton. I forget the paper that I was in. It's a Trenton Journal, actually.
Okay.
That article had mostly Trenton-based or Trenton artists living in Trenton.
Yes.
The community is vibrant. The First Fridays now has exploded. There's Artworks is open on a First Friday.
Awesome.
The Passage Theater does art on the First Friday. There's the JKC Gallery that's in Mercer County, the Kearney campus.
Yes.
The Mill Hill Saloon, Trenton Social, and of course the Ellerslie Open features some really great local artists, local talent.
Awesome.
It's just an amazing community of artists right now, and for whatever reason, Trenton has the world's due. Tamara Torres, who's an artist who has a studio at Artworks, is international. She's shown in Dubai and in London. I've shown in Scotland and in London myself. There's Habib Shayoub, who's an amazing photographer who gets some play in Germany. We're just going a little worldwide. And April Cooper, who has an amazing, does amazing stuff on Instagram through her social, and she's just a fantastic artist. Her stuff just stuns me every day.
Now let me stop you for a second, Craig. Now, when you say shown, when you took your pictures, do you send your pictures or do you go with your pictures with your artwork?
Well, during COVID, I haven't done that, but
Okay.
I have actually just shipped my art to. There's a gallery in London
Yes.
that I shipped to, and then there's a photography gallery in Glasgow, Scotland,
Yes.
that I really love. That I've shown in 3 or 4 times, and then all over the country as well. I have a piece coming back to me actually from Plymouth, the Plymouth Center of the Arts up in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Toronto, I did the Toronto Photography Festival, a
Yes.
gallery up there.
What-
So yeah, all over at this point.
Now, how do you show art that's so far away from you? Do they reach out to you? You reach out to them? Let's get into the real detail of that.
Right. Well, in some cases, you make contacts.
Yes.
The London show was a contact through Tamara Torres, who's been doing stuff internationally for a while.
Yes.
And so she had a curator friend who actually happens to be a photographer as well.
Okay.
And we just struck up. Our work, the way we work is similar. So that was something that I was kind of asked to do. Other things you apply to.
Yes.
Some things you have contacts with. People will ask you to do certain things.
Okay.
It's a myriad of things. But in the beginning of your career, you're probably applying to a lot of shows, or you're doing a lot of stuff locally. My first ever show was at Trenton Social.
Wow.
Right after I had just recovered
Yes.
from my surgery. That was my first solo show ever.
Okay.
First solo show.
And so
Okay.
when you do either a solo show or your painting is placed somewhere in London, do people have an opportunity to reach out to you to purchase your paintings?
Yes, they will purchase my art either through the gallery.
Yes.
I'm sure in a lot of cases the gallery gives the clients or the clientele that come to their gallery the contact information for the artist.
Yes.
I've sold a lot of stuff on the West Coast that way,
Okay.
or they'll catch me through my website,
Okay. Okay. And so
or through Facebook.
And so when you have your picture, when your artwork is being shown, what is the typical time frame for which your picture may be on loan or it may be shown in a gallery such as London?
The average is probably about a month, but
Okay.
it can be 2 months. Solo shows can be a little bit longer. Sometimes they are a couple of months.
Okay.
Anywhere from 30 days to 2 months really is probably the average.
Okay. And so it's your responsibility to insure and to ship there, or it's their responsibility to kind of facilitate
It
that?
depends on how big the gallery is.
Okay.
But early on, you're probably shipping and insuring yourself. I have a FedEx account
Okay.
for just such a time, so I can give people my return receipt. It
Okay.
ships it, and they can just send the stuff back through the program or through my account with
Okay.
FedEx.
Now, Craig, before we move on, I'm going to ask you a very personal question because I know this is always troubling to everyone. How do you value the price of the work of that particular art? How do you value that? How do you set a price to that? Now,
Well, that's a hard thing. Every artist, I think if you ask every artist, they'll go, I don't know. That's the thing that we always debate.
yes.
Early on, when you're entering the market as an artist, your prices are probably pretty low because you're not established.
Yes.
But as I became a little bit more widely known, I
Yes.
just figured out a formula for myself.
Okay.
I know what my time is worth.
Yes.
I know how much it takes to manufacture a piece.
Yes.
And I kind of add all that up, and and then the fees to ship, the fees to send to a gallery,
Yes.
galleries pay, all that stuff is added in. It's just like a product.
Okay.
It's like anything.
Okay.
And then I just generally my prices probably now are averaging $1,000 to $1,500. There are pieces that are a lot lower than that, depending on how small they are, or how much of a run I do. Because I'm a photographer, I can do multiple runs of things.
Yes.
Unless I've embellished a photograph or something.
Oh man,
but
that's fantastic.
You get to figure out what your prices are, over time. But it's a hard thing. But you get there. You figure it out.
Now, suppose someone famous were to buy your painting. Does that now increase the overall lot of your work that you do?
You know who will set prices a lot of times? Galleries will set what they think prices will be.
Okay.
They know their clientele sometimes.
Yes.
If I have a limited run and I know specifically how much money I want to get out of that run,
yes.
say I have, I'm only going to do 5 of a piece, but over the total run of that piece, I want it to make $10,000.
Yes.
Three pieces. There you go. That's what I decided that it's going to be.
Okay.
So it's basically $3,000 a piece.
Got you.
If that's what I've decided to do.
Got you.
I've learned that the closer you get to New York,
yes.
I've done a couple shows in, just outside of New York, and my prices were early on were much cheaper. And I realized, oh my gosh, my prices are $200 and these people are selling it for $800 or $900. And it looks bad for me. So at that point, that was a come to Jesus moment, as you say, where I go, okay, I've got to trust that I have to have the confidence that these artists have, that my work is good and it's worth the value. So next time I come here, I better be in their price range.
Absolutely. Or
it just doesn't look good.
Got you. Now, so as we move around Trenton, how vibrant does the artist community need to be in order for Trenton to have a resurgence?
It's really kind of a marketing thing. Okay. Look, I know that there are collectors that come out that know how good Trenton artists are.
Yes.
And they come here specifically to get art because they know, hey, before these artists understand the value of their art,
yes,
let's go down and buy it.
Yes.
Because they can get it cheap.
Wow.
So the world already knows what's here.
Yes.
And so they'll come and I wouldn't say rip us off, but they know that we don't understand the value of our own art.
Got you.
And so if you come out on a First Friday, Kevin, and you go to all the locations and you see how many bodies are out there now, you understand that there's a vibrant community.
Got you.
What the people in Trenton don't understand how vibrant the community is. They're not, I don't know if it's that we're not looking in the right way or we just don't think it's here, but there is an amazing community here and people outside of this community know it. And they'll come. I was 3 or 4 months ago when I was in a studio and some people came down from New York and they were looking at Tamara Torres's art. And in that 45 minutes of them being here, they bought, I would say about $10,000 worth of art. That was 3 pieces. Wow. Because they understood, like, hey, if we're in New York, we're not getting art. This is quality art.
Yes.
And one piece in New York would be $10,000.
Yes.
Buy it now. That's kind of the attitude that some collectors will have.
Wow.
Get it early. Tamara is always being bought because they know at some point she's going to break out in a different way. And there are collectors that just have bought her art and they store it because they know that it's coming for her.
So now, people in the art community, they say, do they say, I have a Shofed piece or I have a Craig piece? What do they say?
They see a Shofed piece because as an artist, I go by CA Shofed.
CA Shofed. All right. That's all right. So now, I remember at one point, there were probably when the hotel was just opening up on Lafayette Street, a lot of those houses were galleries on that street.
Really?
Yeah. And so because they used to do a First Friday, and the big plus was it was being done in conjunction with the Downtown Association, but it was highlighted and backdropped by the hotel. So a lot of those businesses, those houses on Front Street, on Lafayette Street, were all galleries. And man, and so that I was like, wow. And of course we did not take advantage of it. And then subsequently, as the hotel began to ebb and flow and die out, a lot of those guys, kind of matriculated someplace else. But
Right.
I would love to see that kind of build again, because yeah, you understand that art has a purpose, art has a place, but art can really bring about great rebirth in our city of Trenton. Now,
Right.
are you? Because I know at one time I think I met you at Starbucks.
Mhm.
Is Starbucks still active in the art community in terms of allowing
Yeah.
people to place art there?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I curate Starbucks. So
Okay,
yeah.
come on, man, you are Mr. Trenton then. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Because I know, and this is in full disclosure, we used to attend the same church together, and I think at
Right.
that time you had introduced us and the church to Leon Rainbow. And,
Right.
and in the cathedral pathway, you had asked him to do this wonderful mural that every time we open up the gates, people are saying, "What is that? That is gorgeous." So I say thank you, because at that time I was like, I don't know what this is, but it looks good. So and since then I've grown to know and love you guys and Leon as well. So now you're looking at a crystal ball, Craig. Where do you see Trenton 3 years from now with all this vibrant artwork going on and this art community being able to explode?
Well, one thing I think we need to do is Artworks didn't do art all night this year, and that
Yes.
was an amazing festival
Yes.
that they're going to do again.
Yes.
And I think that we have to use that maybe as a catalyst, because at the height of that, there were 20,000 people coming through that
Wow.
event.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
a huge event. It became huge.
Yes.
And it's a way to showcase art. And if we can use that again as a way to showcase art, and then get a partnership with all the art galleries and organizations in the city, and somehow get the city to market. I mean,
Was that some laughter?
yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
But there's the cities like Toronto.
Yes.
If I use that as an example, I told you earlier that I had been in a show called the I think it's the Social Bank Photo Festival that's up in Toronto. Happens in May. It's a month-long festival that every single gallery, for the most part, partakes in, and they highlight photography for a month. Social
Wow.
Bank up there sponsors it, puts together a catalog of all the galleries
Yes.
that are in this thing, and you can just tour the city. And that's Toronto as a city coming together and marketing themselves. Art in Trenton, we've got the artists.
Yes.
We've got a lot of the venues.
Yes.
How come we can't do the same thing and value art? There are some places coming online. The Hanover Collective, I think that's what it is. There's going to be a gallery that they're putting together with Creative Space. I mean, there's a bunch of different locations. Artworks wants to do some stuff with in bigger spaces and help art. And in full disclosure, probably in the last 2 weeks, I've become the managing director of Artworks.
Hey, that's all right. Congratulations, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, just happened. We'll see. It's interim currently.
Yes.
But what I would like to do before I leave that place is make sure that we could kind of turn and market the artists and support the artists in a way that we get some exposure. But that has to happen from not only myself, but the business community and the city.
Yes.
We can partner up and do that and have people who already see it.
Yes.
We just got to market to the communities that are surrounding Trenton who have the wrong idea of Trenton in a lot of cases.
Yes.
It's a city, but they don't see the vibrancy of all the things that are happening from that. The Juneteenth was an amazing celebration. There was art. Artworks was part of that.
Yes.
I'm sure Ellerslie would love to be a part of that. There are some big things that are happening in Trenton that we, as a community, I think, don't turn and value ourselves sometimes. So it's up to us as well to support these local, young, amazingly talented artists.
Yes.
And lift them up, because they're going to be our ambassadors. They're going to be the people that the world sees first.
Now let me let me ask this question, Craig. My mind is running. I just had several wonderful ideas. Well, first of all, I always will extend this platform to you. If there's any way that the Entrepreneur Enclave can uplift, the work that you're doing through Artworks and the work that's being done here in Trenton, and then if you have, artists that would love to share their unabridged story, I would love to invite them onto the platform. Now, let me ask this question. Have you thought about, and I know it's too soon because you just started, have you ever thought about going into the high school and to the middle schools and encouraging young artists?
We have some really great educational programs at Artworks.
Yes.
I could say we now. And I think that's going to be our in. There are some people we wanted to do a summer camp this year that just didn't happen.
Yes.
Which would be the gateway. But what we hopefully want to offer to some of the schools is to be able just to walk into Artworks. A lot of people don't understand that they can just walk in and talk to us.
Yes.
In a lot of cases, it's not formal there. It's open plan. It's how I really got my start.
Yes.
By just walking in to that place and going, hey, I need this, I need that. All the artists there that are willing to help, but we need to figure out a way to bridge that gap in education. How do we do it in a smart way?
Yes.
So that the schools understand that they could use this, even if it's just classes on teaching families that if their kids want to be artists, they don't have to be starving artists. They can make money. You can do that. I treated my career as a business.
Yes.
I mean, I love creating art. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But I wanted to make money, and
Absolutely.
it takes 5 years. It's like any business, Kevin.
Yes.
5 years is probably the point at which you start breaking even and making money.
Or
you got to give yourself that much time.
Or you break down.
Or you break down, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but in that,
Absolutely.
if you give yourself that much time,
Yes.
that's kind of where you can see it coming if you map things out. The art isn't about creating art and having somebody discover you.
Yes.
Art is about creating art and promoting yourself.
Yes.
And figuring out how your pricing is and getting an invoicing system. I mean, it's all about that. It's a business. You are an entrepreneur. And we need to get our artists in this city to think about that. And we also have to have the parents understand that your kid can actually make money doing this. And it may not be that he's an artist. Maybe he becomes the director of artworks, or there's a different path. He becomes a curator or something. But all that is the gateway to all that is becoming an artist or going to school to hone your craft as an artist. Whatever it is, it's a gateway. It's not the final thing. Art can lead to a bunch of different things.
Yes.
Not just art.
Now, a few questions, Craig. Is it important, or was it important for you to have a mentor in this artistic craft or this journey?
Yeah, it's important to have somebody that you can bounce your questions off of. I think maybe not officially, but I think Leon Rainbow and Will Casso were probably my peers and people that I turned to early on.
Okay.
And then Addison Vincent, who is the artistic director at Artworks.
Yes.
He was somebody I could just walk in the building and go, Addison, I want to do this.
Yes.
Now people like Tamara Torres, or people like her, or Heather Pelchek, or there's a couple other, probably Lank too, they are my peers,
okay.
And they're Trenton-based artists that I can go in and ask anytime. Hey, can you teach me this? Or, hey, have you done this? Or, and they have helped me hone my craft as an artist.
Now, what have been some of the challenges personally and professionally that you had to overcome to bring you to the artist that you are now becoming?
Really, telling myself that I was an artist.
Okay.
Making, that's you. I remember when people say, hey, what do you do? And I was like, well, part-time I do this, and I do some art. And there's a point at which you become confident in yourself. And once that you hit that whatever, that street, that fork in the road that says, yes, I am an artist. That was a big thing. It helped my creativity and everything. But just the support, having the support of, finding my peers was a little bit hard in the beginning.
Okay.
Finding venues to start to display my art, because we all can't start at the Guggenheim. You have to start small, but not. You can go to school for art, but art doesn't teach you the business of art.
Yes.
They teach you how to be an artist, but they don't teach you how to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I think that's a big stepping stone for everybody.
Okay.
People telling you like, well, artists, they automatically think you can't make money. Yes. I tell people, oh, I'm an artist. And they're like, oh, what do you really do for work? No, I'm an artist.
Gotcha.
That's what I do.
Yes.
You know, and I actually make money. So
Yes.
I think we have to get that shackle off
Gotcha.
off all artists that says, you've got to be a starving artist. That's not where you got to start.
Yes.
You got to start being a business person. And I think that was the hardest thing, is to wrap my head around that this is also a business.
Gotcha.
Yes, it's fun to create and I love it. But if I want to make money, I got to think as a businessman. And that's something that every artist has an issue with, because they're basically artists. They're not business people. They think with a different side of their brain. They're not thinking with the business side.
Very true.
Thinking with the artistic side. And we have to tell these guys that it's a business too. And if you can't do it, find somebody that will help you, because you have to do it.
Yes.
Not all of us are going to get discovered, but you can make money without being quote unquote discovered.
Now,
You can make money.
Now, another question. So, did you think that your business has increased because of the internet, being able to post online? Has that expanded your business beyond the normal traditional way that someone makes a phone call and they come to your gallery or they come to your studio? Do you think that's had a great impact?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have this love-hate relationship with Facebook. I would think that right now for me, probably, I would say 40% of my sales come from Facebook.
Okay.
It's really the greatest place for me. It is my showroom. It's always been more of a place for me to showcase my art than it has been like a personal page.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you.
You know, it introduces people to me. They can contact me through there.
Yes.
You know, there's a big audience for me there.
Okay.
It's not the only thing, but it definitely helps, and it has gotten me opportunities that I probably wouldn't have gotten before. And it's also a place to source my art.
Gotcha.
Hey, this is making an impact with people. People love this piece, and you know, maybe that's something I should enter into the next Ellerslie Open, or maybe it should go to London.
Got you.
You know, it does help, but it's not the only thing. You can't live on the internet.
Understood.
Art is a social thing. You're kind of your own salespeople. So you salesperson. So you have to actually go out and talk to curators, talk to galleries, go to shows, talk to other artists. That's a big component of it. When COVID hit, to lose that interaction,
got you.
It hurt. You know, I couldn't just
imagine.
live on Facebook. I have clients,
Yes.
so I could live off my clients. But if you don't have that yet, not having that interaction, that person in front of you to see how they react and talk to, that hurt. That hurt a lot.
I can imagine. Now, so Craig, I guess the next question is, at what point do you say in your day that this is my creative time? I'm going to set this time aside so that I can do a painting. How does that work? How do you divide your day up in terms of when you feel the most creative?
It's more of a feeling. Like when I'm creative, I know it and I go out and do that. When I'm not creative, which most artists would say, hey, I'm blocked today. That's when I do my business. When I'm not creative, that's when I make sure my inventory is right. Where's my stuff? That's when I send out my invoices. That's when I do my social media, because then I'm not thinking about not being creative. And then maybe some idea comes to me and I'll go out and do it. It's probably easier for me as a photographer than it would be for a painter.
Okay.
But to me, that downtime, that non-creative time, that's the time for me to do my business.
Got you. So there's never a day where you're creative 9 to 5. It might be, you might wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and feel creative, and I guess you'll start to do something or sketch something out.
I mean, or I have something in my head, a picture I want to take. When I'm on vacation or if I'm traveling, during COVID, what I would do to help creative, I would just get in my car. I'd tell my wife, I'd say, hey, I'm going 16 hours that way. I'll let you know wherever I stop.
Wow.
But I'll be back. Find a hotel, safely, because you're in your car. And I would just take my camera with me, and I got some amazing shots. I got some really good shots in Birmingham, Alabama. Ended up in Birmingham, Alabama somehow.
Somehow.
Atlanta. I was just going Chattanooga.
Okay.
There were some great places that I found to take some amazing picture or connect with the community down there in a way that kind of inspired me too, the artist community in each one of those towns.
Now,
and I got some amazing photos.
Now, going back to the creativity, now when you're thinking creatively, are you thinking thematically as well? Like, today I want to capture this theme, or how does that flow for you?
I think whatever I definitely have I think most people would tell you they can tell what a CA Shofed picture is.
Gotcha.
I do have an eye for a specific thing. It's usually kind of a nature versus man type of thing, and
Gotcha. Yes.
and in that my time it's morphed into more abstract photography.
Okay.
But it's still, you can still tell it's me, because
Okay.
there's always that underlying man versus nature versus man type of theme in it. You know, older buildings and what nature does to them.
Yes.
There is that theme, and I think my eye just kind of captures that. It just comes to that, and through that, for me, there's a body of work that gets created because there's a similarity in some of the things that I do, and so I'm like, oh wow, here's a grouping of pictures. I've created a body of work without even knowing it.
Yes.
And then every once in a while, I've come up with an idea like, hey, I want to do this same thing, but I want to print my stuff on glass and kind of put these elements together.
Yes.
And that's kind of how my creativity works. I'll just create pieces based on, hey, I wonder if I can manufacture this.
Okay.
You know, and if I can, that's what I put together. And that's me creating, I mean, maybe being more specific about
Yes.
creating a body of work.
Yes. Now help me out with this one. Does the value of your work increase or decrease based on, I guess, the medium, like I guess what you show it on? Like, so for example, if you see a man versus nature kind of photo that you want to take, and you were to sell that photo for XYZ, could you now transform that into a T-shirt? And does that bode well for the art community, or they think, oh man, he's just selling out?
I mean, everybody has their own specific way that they want to do it, because you can be an artist that sells at, you know, these art festivals,
Yes.
you know, like the punk rock flea market. There's
Yes.
a bunch of artists in there, and they have their tents and everything. I've chosen that that's not the way I want to go.
Okay,
You can
gotcha.
be very lucrative, but I'd rather be, to me, a little bit, use more of my time to be creative. I think there's a lot of work that goes into that, and
Yes.
kudos to the artists that could do that.
Gotcha.
That is something that you've got to be organized, and not that I'm not organized, but that's a different, I can use that time, me personally, not that that's a bad way to go,
Yes.
to be more creative and to work on more galleries and try to get, you know, hone my craft a little bit
Gotcha.
better.
Gotcha.
You can go that way, but increasing the value, it kind of always comes back to money.
Yes.
Like you said, it's kind of, sometimes it's the supplies that you use. I would not necessarily print my stuff on a shirt,
Yes.
but I have created a photo book
Okay.
that-
Yeah. Okay.
that, you know, for some reason, it was really a book that was meant to show to galleries.
Okay.
And I showed it to my clientele.
Yes.
I posted it on Facebook. Hey, I'm creating this book on, you know, work to drop off at gallery, so they see my work and they can see it on something other than a phone screen or a laptop.
Yes.
And I was surprised by how many people said, "Oh, can I buy that book?" So I ended up selling a limited prints,
Yes.
you know, of this book. I sold probably close to 100 at this point. Not intentionally wanting to do that, but there's a market out there that for people who just want photo books,
Gotcha.
you know, and
Gotcha.
it's a way to get my art at this point that's a little bit cheaper
Yes.
than just than buying a piece of my art, because at this point a lot of my art has become a little bit more expensive, and maybe somebody doesn't want to spend that money, but they can buy a book
Yeah.
for like $40 and get a bunch of my pieces of art.
Yeah. Now,
And so
now how?
I'll,
I'm sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, correct. Yeah. No. How?
and so
okay, go ahead.
I'll finish.
Yeah.
And so there were a bunch of people that I had not known who were looking at my art and
Gotcha.
finally bought some because they had access to this book. Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. How do you protect your artwork, like for someone else trying to take credit for it? How do you do that?
That is the hardest thing, Kevin. I mean, if somebody wants to take your art, they can take your art. I mean, working at Art All Night,
Yes.
I found people claiming stuff as their art, and it wasn't their art. I've seen that in the magazine. Why are you putting it in art? Like, we haven't seen stuff, you know? People do it every day.
Wow.
I've had people send me comments and notice that on their Facebook page is my art. They haven't, which is fine, but ask me,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I think that I choose to trust that people are going to be honest enough
Got you.
and they're going to pay me for my art. You can't police everything. You can copyright your stuff, which I do.
Yes.
But, at the end of the day, if somebody really wants to take your art,
Yes.
they kind of can, I haven't had that happen to me very often.
Yes.
But man, it does happen. All artists, that are out there will tell you, hey, somebody did such and such to this piece of art.
Got you. Got you.
And you just kind of try to do your best.
Yeah, the movie escapes my mind, where this guy he was in prison, and during his time in prison, he was just forging all of these high-end pieces. I forgot the name of the movie. Gee. And at the end, he had to replace this one particular priceless piece of art, but it had never gone. He had just painted over it.
Right.
In the gallery. God, man.
It'll come to you as soon as the show's over.
Yeah. Wow. My brain just went dead. I'm sorry. But
that's okay.
So now, where do we see Trenton, and where do we see you 5 years from now?
I think right now there's an eye towards Trenton. There's a lot of attention towards Trenton.
Yes.
I think for us, again, as a people, sometimes I don't think we see ourselves from outside.
Yes.
Of our little fishbowl, right?
Okay.
In Trenton, we kind of we see just our limited view, but we don't see sometimes outside, and that's not everybody.
Yes.
We don't see outside of that. But I think if we take that attention now and market ourselves, I can see in 5 years that this becomes a very vibrant city for art. There are people from Brooklyn, artists and stuff from Brooklyn, moving to Trenton.
Wow.
Because it's quote unquote the new Brooklyn, because that train ride is just as long as a bad ride from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
To New York, right? Like an hour, 90 minutes, you can be in. It's right at the end of the line, and just in my neighborhood alone, there are a lot of Brooklynites, and there are a lot of artists thinking, "Hey, it's cheaper here," and I think we need to cultivate that a little bit and become a city or a haven for arts. And if we kind of do that, if we all work together, to do that, partner up, and maybe not reinvent the wheel all the time, I'm hoping that in my limited time at Artworks, that I can hopefully help start that a partnership, that we're not all rowing different ways.
Yes.
What can we double up on? What can we do to market each other? What can we do to make the city put on their website, this is a town for art as well? And, they have some great tools on the city website where you can do an overlay of the different historic districts, the different wards. How hard would it be to put a art layer on that? Here are all the places that they're, the Ellerslie, here's some of the festivals that we do. Juneteenth is full of amazing music and culture, and a lot of that is art based. Why can't the city do something? That's the simplest thing they could do. That's going to cost them hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Hundreds of dollars. That's the simplest thing they can do to support the arts. I mean, the city was great during the Incident for Art All Night to come back and help. And I wish they would do that with all organizations, because Art All Night is Trenton's Boston Marathon.
Yes, it is.
It's become something that everybody in this city now knows that they can be part of.
Yes. It's
not just, artwork is just for those people. It's for everybody. And I have, not having it this year, to see all the memories posted about, this is the time of year that Art All Night, and is Art All Night happening? That to me means the city needs that thing.
Yes. And
that thing should be the catalyst for the city, for the county, Mercer County, hello.
Yes.
For anybody in this city, it doesn't take a lot. It's not about money. Sometimes it's just about the support. Get some of that support out of the way. Get out of our way.
What was one of the major reasons for them not holding it this year?
Just because we initially had a new ED, and to load that onto the new ED, on top of trying to learn Trenton, trying to learn Artworks, it just would have been too hard to do. So this next year we'll reload and just trying to figure out, will we have it at the Roebling again? Because I think the Roebling needs some repairs.
Yes.
Before we kind of go back into that, that building. So maybe we activate it through the city.
Okay.
You know, how do we just got to think it and make it a little bit more family friendly, artist friendly, because it became a big party.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
but I would like it to get back to its route, with its roots,
Yes.
to highlight the art and music and become less of a party and more of a social gathering
Yes.
that we all can enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And we will bring it back. It's too important not to have it.
Absolutely.
It's just too important to everybody.
Do you?
It's free access for all artists to put their art up. That's amazing. It's an amazing thing we need to continue.
I don't know if this exists, but I would love to see like an artist village.
Me too.
Oh, so
There are some great art stock. I mean, housing stock here. Why can't we just say, hey, artists, we'll give you first. I don't know how legally you could do it, but artists should get hey, here's part of town. Let's open it up to artist studios and stuff. And then, because that brings other things,
well, I mean,
you know.
I don't know the legality, but I don't think it would be such. It would be, we're going to designate these 2 blocks as a artist community or artist village. And so if you want to come to Trenton and do your art, rent is going to be subsidized or you pay whatever. But I think that would work because I mean, if I'm not correct, I think they do something similar to this in East Orange, where they took an old
There's a district,
building,
yeah.
and everyone in there is an artist with various different mediums,
right?
And it works,
There is an arts district in the city. I'm not sure who's running it, but I don't know that they thought about it as housing and a village specifically.
Yes.
And I think that that's definitely something we should do and offer that to the residents of Trenton before it goes to the outside. Let's give our people and our artists a little bit of time to say, yes, I want to be in that, and they can be the hub. And then we kind of have other people outside the city and come and join the amazing, talented artists of Trenton in this little village, and we can all lift each other up.
Yeah. And again, the village would also have this huge space where everyone at certain times of the day or certain times of the month can showcase their wear. But again, collectively and collaboratively, all the artists would come together and just have a good time supporting one another.
Right.
Wow.
I think that's an amazing idea.
Now, are you working with Greater Trenton?
Greater Trenton does do some things with artworks. I don't know how much and what capacity at this point, because I'm still learning the nooks and crannies of stuff. There's so many people that give and work with artworks, is what I'm finding out. Artworks does an amazing job of kind of connecting different businesses and organizations. Sprout U, we work with them on education. They're an amazing group. Bonnie Watson Coleman is helping us with this art walk through the federal government. We're going to get a grant through them to fix up that walkway between the train station and coming into downtown. Make it a little, not only pretty with art, but also safer with some lighting.
Awesome.
So that pathway.
Well, which pathway is that? Because
it's coming from when you walk from, let's say, the DMV to the train station, and you have to go under those 2 bridges.
Got you. Yes.
Right in there, it's kind of dark late at night, and I know there's a lot of pedestrians coming there. That would be designated. I think that's designated the art walk. They've actually already done some stuff in the walkway by the train station, but that walk between that train station and DMV, we want to light that up and make it a little bit more safe for people to.
That would be fantastic.
To walk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So listen, going back to your new position, your new title, what are your actual responsibilities?
Well, I am sharing responsibilities with Addison Vincent. We call ourselves the 2-headed monster.
Okay.
So he's really working on the artistic vision, making sure art, the gallery's running 100%. Anything that's creative, is basically his purview. There are some crossover for us, and I'm making sure that financially, facilities wise, partnership wise, we're working with. We're having some meetings with Mural Arts in Philadelphia for them to help us with some of these public artworks projects that we can do around Trenton. But that's my job, is just to kind of make those meetings happen, make those things easier, find some of the funding for some of the things that we'd want to do for the children and the artists of Trenton.
So you're the managing director. Now,
Managing director.
Do we have an executive director?
No, because that's what we decided. So when there was an executive director who lasted about 5 months,
Wow.
and she resigned. It's a tough job.
Okay.
So when they asked, I was on the board of Artworks, and so I told them, all right, I will take over. It's got to be interim. It's got to be for this much time.
Yes.
But why don't we manage it a different way? Because it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff to do. So why don't we split it like a Passage has, an artistic Passage Theater, as
Yes.
an artistic director and a managing director. That splits that load a little bit, and it
Gotcha.
helps,
Gotcha.
so that the quote unquote ED has more time
Yes.
to do some other things and is not bogged down. They could actually go out into the city and have meetings and
Yes.
do other things and be creative, whereas the artistic director will do some other things, and we partner on making sure the bills are paid and certain stuff like that. So it's become a little bit different than just an ED, and eventually maybe we get an ED again,
Yes.
but let us kind of create this really great foundation so that when an ED is hired for Artworks,
Mm-hmm.
it's not so challenging. Because Trenton, you know how Trenton is. Trenton in its own, just on its own, you've got to know the nuances of our city.
Oh, that's a whole
It's a city, but it's a small town, right?
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for another podcast.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
it
Greg,
is.
I want to give you this opportunity to do your 30-second pitch for your own personal artwork, and then a 30-second pitch or presentation for the folks to consider Trenton for coming into.
Well, I will say this: my art has morphed over time. If you want to find it, it's at just look up C.A. Shofed. It's at amphora.artworks.com. But if you just put in C.A. Shofed, you'll find me. But over time, I have morphed into what I consider myself a photographer, and now I consider myself a contemporary artist. My stuff has become a little bit more abstract, a little bit more colorful and inventive, but you still see the underlying C.A. Shofed in that, in all my art. So please go to my website, find me on the web. If you see any shows that you may see me at, just go and just enjoy the art. I will be doing some stuff locally, and going to my website, you'll find that out as I, announce some of those local shows that I will be doing. And as for, what was the second 30 seconds for?
Your pitch for inviting other artists to consider Trenton.
I will say this: the community of artists in Trenton, they are all supportive. They're a family. And in that family, you have that uncle that you don't quite like, or that cousin that you may yell out. That's part of the family.
Yes.
But being an artist in Trenton means that you got support of the family. There isn't, everybody will help you. You walk into Artworks, and that's a gateway to the rest of the arts. You walk into Trenton Social, you can get a show in there. There's a lot of venues to just kind of start your way in. Middle Saloon does an amazing job of doing art, showcasing local artists.
Yes.
It's easy to enter the art world in Trenton.
Yes.
And you always have the support of anybody and any artist. That's the thing I love about Trenton. The community of artists are tight, and they will always help each other.
Awesome.
It's if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking to start a career, at least the beginning of a career, this is the place I think you come, because it's just easy to enter it.
Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but just a few more questions. Do you have any regrets in this industry, in this artistic industry that you are a part of?
There's always kind of some kind of regret, but no, maybe that I hadn't started sooner, that I didn't trust myself a little bit sooner.
Gotcha.
And that, that I didn't seek out peers a little faster than I did.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to go it on my own initially, and not knowing about the community of artists. That's why I kind of promote that. There are always people to help you, and don't be afraid to ask for the help. And don't be afraid to understand, like, if you can't run your business, because that's what it is, again, people.
Yes.
Then find somebody who will do that for you, because it's an important part. Not everybody gets discovered, but you get better chance of being discovered if you're organized.
Yes.
I got a lot of shows just because I was organized. People
Gotcha.
call me up and say, "Oh, Craig can get art right now," because I was organized.
Yes.
And I go, "Yeah, sure. You want me there next Thursday? I got enough work to do that."
Yes.
And if I didn't have enough work to do that, I knew somebody else that did, that I trusted, that would represent my good name to help out somebody else.
Awesome.
So be organized, be on time, be professional.
Yes.
Those are important things. Those things will get you indoors. That sometimes it's not about talent. Sometimes it's about what you can do for somebody to make that other person in that gallery who just lost an artist look good.
Yes. No, I appreciate that. Any shout outs that you want to give to anyone?
Trenton. There are a lot of people I can shout out. Lauren
Yes.
Otis, who was the previous director before the director that took over for him. Anybody at Artworks. Tamara Torres has been an amazing. She's an amazing artist,
Yes.
and she's an amazing person for me to just kind of sit and we just talk about art and we push each other. Will Casso, Leon Rainbow. I mean, I can go on and on. Heather Pelchek, Habib, Chris Mariani, the Trenton Photo Group, which is on Facebook. They're a great group of guys that get together and shoot Trenton. So many. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting people. Brass Rabbit, who does the curation over at Trenton Social.
Yes.
Buck Malva, who does the curation over at the Mill Saloon. The Ellerslie, they were integral in my growth. Trenton City Museum. There are just, I probably could go on for an hour just naming people. That helped me because that's how it is here.
Yes.
For at least for me, my experience is that Trenton has been welcoming to artists and they've been welcoming to me. And without Trenton, I could never be who I am. And wherever I go, I plan on taking Trenton with me.
Awesome.
Because we need ambassadors out there
Absolutely.
to showcase who and what the talent is in the city.
Craig, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So I know that if there's anything going on artistically in Trenton, you are the man that can be reached and can move us in the right direction.
Yeah, and anytime you won't have any of the questions or whatever, Kevin, please feel free to just reach out and ask.
Absolutely. And of course, as I extend this to you again, if you have any artists that would love to use this as a platform, I extend that to them as well.
I will send them your way.
Absolutely. Craig, you have been fantastic, brother. Thank you so much. Let's talk in text.
All right. Thank you.
All
have
right.
a great day.
You as well, man. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email Kevin at minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.